Hey everyone, welcome back. So, as I've been working on this course, I've referred to this section internally. I mean, it's just me, but in my head internally as GitHub Odds and Ends. I don't really think that's a fair title. There are some very important pieces in here and then some odds and ends. It's just another one of those motley sections, an assortment of topics that have to do with GitHub. So, the first thing we cover is the difference between having a public and private repo and what it means. That's going to be critical, but also very easy. Then we talk about adding collaborators to repos. How do we add somebody else and give them permission to push, for example, to a project? That's going to be critical as well. You do that all the time, assuming you collaborate. We talk about README files, which is important. You may have seen this before, all caps readme.md, stands for Markdown, the MD. They play a particular role in GitHub repositories. Pretty much every repo has one, but it's not critical, important, sort of best practice. It's a good habit to get into. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's important, but not critical. Then I talk about Markdown. If you're not familiar with Markdown, it is not a Git or GitHub topic, but to make a README, we do write Markdown. So it's related. If you already know Markdown, skip that. If you don't, check it out. But remember, Markdown is a thing on its own, and it's not tied to Git and GitHub. And then two other things I'm going to say are nice to have, definitely not important or critical. A feature on GitHub called Gists. That's all I'll say about it. They're nice to have, but a lot of people just don't even use them. And then GitHub Pages, a very nice to have tool from GitHub that it helps us to easily host web pages, static web pages from our repositories. So very nice to have, but also not at all critical. It's just not a feature of Git. It's a feature of GitHub, but it's one that's pleasant and it's a nice, especially if you're starting out, you want a personal site, a portfolio site, you want to demo a project. It's very useful. Anyway, again, we'll talk about it in the actual video on GitHub Pages. The main things I hope you take away from this section are really just about settings in a repo, public versus private, permissions, adding collaborators, and then some GitHub adjacent topics like Markdown and README files, GitHub Pages, worth knowing about, nice to have. They're in the course for a reason, but just not critical. Okay, I gotta shut up. Bye.